Hello students, my name is Shayan Mitra, faculty member of Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management, JIS Group. Today I am going to take the class of Embedded System Design. The topic will be input-output devices and buses for device networks. So let's start the class. Subject name Embedded System and the code name will be EC703B, lecture number 8. So let's start with our contents. Today's contents will be input output devices, timer and counting devices, serial communication using I2C, CAN and advanced input output buses between the network multiple devices, host system or computer parallel communication between the network input output multiple devices using ISA, PCI, PCI-X and advanced buses. Throughout the next 3-4 lectures, I am going to describe all of these contents. This next 3-4 lectures are going to be about input output devices, different kind of input output devices and their communication protocols. So let's start with our first slide. First slide describing about the input and output devices. The input output devices can be classified into following types: synchronous serial input, synchronous serial output, asynchronous serial UART input, asynchronous serial UART output, parallel 1-bit input, parallel 1-bit output, parallel port input, parallel port output. Some devices functions both as input and output. Example, modem. Let's go to the next slide. Port. A port is a device to receive the bytes from external peripherals for reading them later using instruction executed on the processor, or to send the bytes to external peripheral or device or processor using instruction executed on processor. Basically, a port in a device used to receive the bytes from external peripherals or for reading them later for using instruction executed on the processor, or to send the bytes to external peripheral or device or processor using instruction executed on processor. According to the instruction which was executed on the processor, the data or the bytes will be transferred from one device to another, and the port will be the device which help to receive or send the bytes or the data. A port connects to the processor using address decoder and system bus. System bus will help the data to transfer from port to processor, and address decoder will help to decode the address from which all the data has been come. And according to the address, if it means that different data has different address. So if we don't have the proper address, the first thing the port will do is to decode the address. Without decoding the address, it can't receive the data or send the data receive the data for the processor. The processor, during the execution of different kind of instruction, the processor will have the instruction or have the instruction of which data of which is assigned to the address will be decoded according to. It means only a very specific data which has a specific address only will get through the port. That's the basic function of ports. The processor uses the addresses of the port registers for programming the port functions or modes, reading port status, and for writing or reading bytes. The port will have a connecting registers, and the programming and processor uses the address of the port registers for programming the port functions or mode. A port has different kind of function or mode according to the depending upon the functions or modes. The port have different function has been assigned to them. That's the basic one. Different function has been assigned to them according to the port function or modes. reading port status and for writing or reading bytes. The basic function of a port is to writing or reading bytes, sending or receiving data. So according to the process and the whole process, all the function of a port will be monitored or will be conducted by a processor depending upon the instruction that has executed within the processor. So that is the basic fundamental of port. Let's go to the next slide. So now examples of various types of input output devices. First one is synchronous serial input. Inter-processor data transfer, reading from CD or hard disk, audio input, video input, dial tone, network input, transceiver input, scanner input, remote controller input, serial input output bus input, writing to flash memory using SDIO, secure data association input output based card, synchronous serial output, inter-processor data transfer, multiprocessor communication, writing to a CD or hard disk, audio input output, video input output, dialer output, network device output, remote TV control, transceiver output, and serial input output bus output, or writing to flash memory using SDIO. Serial asynchronous UART input, keypad controller, serial data in, mouse basically, keyboard controller, modem input, character send inputs on serial line, also called UART, universal receiver and transmitter input when according to UART mode. Serial asynchronous UART output from modem, output for printer, the output on a serial line, also called UART output when according the UART will function as a serial asynchronous UART input or serial asynchronous UART output according to the instruction that it has or that it possesses. Anything you can use, any word we can use in this case. So a UART port practically works as a serial asynchronous UART input or serial asynchronous UART output. Let's go to the next slide. There are 4 other different examples. Let me read it out. Parallel port single bit input. Examples are completion of a revolution of a wheel, achieving preset pressure in a boiler, exceeding the upper limit of permitted weight over the pan of an electronic balance, presence of a magnetic piece in a vicinity of or within the reach of a robot arm to its end point, filling of a liquid up to a fixed level. Parallel port output single bit. Parallel port output single bit. PWM output for a DAC which controls liquid level or temperature or pressure or speed or angular position of a rotating shaft or a linear displacement of an object or a DC motor control. Pulses to an external circuit, control signal to an external circuit. Parallel port input. ADC input from liquid level measuring sensor or temperature sensor or pressure sensor or speed sensor or a DC motor RPM sensor. Encoder inputs for beats for angular position of a rotating shaft or a linear displacement of an object. Parallel port output. LCD controller for multi-lane LCD display matrix unit in a cellular phone to display on the screen the phone number, time, message, character, outputs or pictogram, beat images for display screen or email or web page. Print controller output, stepper motor coil driving bits for parallel port output. These are all the examples of different kind of port which has different kind. Some will be parallel, some will be output single bit, some will be single bit input, some will be multi-bit input, multi-bit output. So there are various kinds of port that basically which was used in input output device types. There are different. These are all examples of different kind of input output device. Let's go to the next slide. This is the example of synchronous serial input device. Serial beats and a clock signal used for synchronization of a port input. Simple. For a synchronization we use a clock signal, and as it is as the name suggests, synchronous serial input device, the beats will go into serial beats and a clock signal used for synchronization of a port input. It's the same. All the pictorial depiction gives us the clear view of synchronous serial input device. Next is synchronous serial output device. What was this? Device synchronous, as it name said, device. This device serial beats and synchronization clock signal at a port output. As synchronization, we need a clock signal. and it's a serial output device, some is a serial input device. So according to that, the picture suggests the same thing. Synchronous serial input output. Now these are two different from the third one. Third one is synchronous serial input output. This is the synchronous serial input output. In case of how to play, it's a communication only one telephone. It means you from one end the data will be transferred, and after the whole data, the transfer of the whole data, after the completion of transfer of whole data, the receiver one, if the receiver one, if the receiver part, the receiver processor, the receiver machine want to send something, he had to, or that had to wait up to the point where all the data from the first device, until the first device doesn't completed her transfer, the device 2 can't start its communication segment, or the communication part, where he had to send some data from his device from the device 2 to device 1. So, and in case of full duplex, both the device 1 and the device 2 will transfer their data simultaneously. And these are the picture of D0 to D7. This is the D0 to D7 full duplex serial in out. Let's go to the next slide. Synchronous serial input. The sender, along with the serial bits, also sends the clock pulses, serial clock, to the receiver port pin. The port synchronizes the serial data input bits with the clock bits. The bytes are received at constant rates. Each byte at input port separates by 8T, and data transfer rate for the serial line bit is 1 by T bps, and 1 bps means bit per second. That what we have already learned, that Mbps. Mbps means megabit per second. B for bit, it is not for byte. Okay, so let's go to the next. The synchronous serial output is the same functionality. Each bit in each byte sent in synchronization with a clock. Bytes sent at a constant rate. If clock period is T, then the data transfer rate will be 1 by T bps. Because the transfer rate is basically nothing but the frequency. As we have already known, the frequency is equal to 1 by T. Now the T is the clock period. For each clock pulse, there will be 1 bit for each clock pulse. Now depending upon the clock period, the data transfer rate will be different. If the clock period is high, the data transfer rate will be low. It means we will send a clock pulse. The clock signal will be a pulse signal. If the width of the pulse is narrowed, if it's narrow, then the T will be less, then the data transfer rate will be high. Suppose a clock pulse signal has a width of 2 seconds or 5 seconds. Suppose the clock period is 5 seconds, then the data transfer rate will be 1 by 5. Now the width of the clock signal is 2 seconds or 1 second, then the data transfer rate will be higher, because 1 by 2 is higher than the 1 by 5. It means the pulse width, if the pulse width is small or very very small, then the data transfer rate will get higher in case of synchronous serial input and output. Now the third one is nothing but the merge of both the previously mentioned synchronous serial input and serial output, that is known as synchronous serial input / output. Each bit in each byte is in synchronization at input, and each bit in each byte is in synchronization at output with the master clock output. The bytes are sent or received at constant rates. The fourth one is asynchronous serial input. Does not receive the clock pulses or clock information along with the bits. Each bit is received in each bytes at fixed intervals, but each received byte is not in synchronization. Bytes separate by the variable intervals or phase differences. Asynchronous serial input, also called UART input, if serial input is according to a UART protocol. So if the asynchronous serial input is according to the UART protocol, then it will be mentioned as UART input. Let's go to the next slide. This one is the example of asynchronous serial input at UART communication port, COM for communication. This figure shows the handshaking signals of port and UART serial bits at the serial line device. Communication is either 10/11 bits format, or if you take a long look, this is DTE for data terminal equipment, data carrier detect, data set ready, request or to send. This is data terminal ready, this is clear to send. This one is data communication equipment. Now, when sending or receiving a character, means a byte. When sending or receiving a character, the logic states during 10 or 11 period as a function of time is shown here. If you take a look, 10, sending the logic states during 10 or 11 periods as a function of time. A bit period del t is equal to is reciprocal of baud rate, the rate at which the bits from an UART change. Now, the baud rate is the rate at which the bits from an UART change. UART bits consist of a start bit, 8 character bits, an option, programmable bit, and a stop bit. This is the format of a bits UART protocol. Simple. So why these logic states the 10 or 11 periods? Now this is the explanation of this thing. UART bits consist of a serial bit, a start bit, a stop bit, a programmable bit, and 8 character. It means start, stop, programmable 3 and 8. 10. Here we have 8, and the programmable bit is optional. So minimum the UART bit will consist 10, or if the programmable bit exists, then the character number will be 11. That's why it has been described. This is the pictorial depiction of what I have described here. And if we take a close look, this is the data bus. These are signals, UART communication port. Now this is the clear to send signal. This is the data terminal ready signal. This is the RTS. RTS means request to send. That's why it is request to send. It's depending. This is the request that has been sent to the from UART communication port to the serial port at modem. This is the request. That's why it is request to send. And DSR will be data set ready. Now this is the response to that. Data set ready. This is the response that will be transferred from serial port at modem to the UART communication port of DSR. DCD is the data carrier detect, and this is the data carrier. If the data has a carrier, the data carrier detected signal will be transferred from serial port at modem to the UART communication port. Let's go to the next slide. 3 ways of communication between the ports or devices. First one is synchronous. When a byte or a frame, a collection of bytes of the data, is received or transmitted at the constant time intervals with uniform phase differences, the communication is called as synchronous. Bits of a full frame are sent in a prefixed maximum time interval. That's why the clock pulses are basically used to maintain that phase difference. Second one is isosynchronous. Synchronous communication special case when bits of a full frame are sent in the maximum time interval, which can be variable. According to the maximum time interval, it means the time interval is higher. It means there will be a time within the time interval where there will be no data will be sent, because probably suppose we started to send the data, but the time interval has been fixed. Suppose there will be a 10-second time period within which the data will be sent. Now suppose the time taken by the data to reach to the receiver end will be probably 5 seconds. Now the remaining 5 seconds, the whole thing will be in a on hold position. That's why it's not a very effective way of communication. Third one is asynchronous. When a byte or a character, so 8 bit, I don't know, repeat that. When a byte or a frame in of the data is received or transmitted at the variable time intervals, the communication is called asynchronous, where the time or the phase differences is not uniform. That is asynchronous. Let's go to the next slide. Now the characteristics of a synchronous communication. Bytes or frames maintain a constant phase difference. which means they are synchronous. In synchronization, no permission of sending either the bytes or the frames at the random time intervals. This mode therefore does not provide for handshaking during the communication. Transmitter master, receiver slave. In case of synchronization, that is the basic. It means it will the time interval will not be flexible. It will be constant. It will be a specific time. Within a specific time interval, the data will be sent within that specific time interval. That's why the handshaking during the communication can't be performed in case of synchronous communication process. Second one, I'm going to describe this within a few minutes. The next one is a clock ticking at a certain rate has always to be there for transmitting serially the bits of all the bytes. Serially, mostly the clock is not always implicit to the synchronous data receiver. The transmitter, the clock is not always implicit to the synchronous data receiver. The clock will be implicit implicit to the instruction or the executed instruction of the processor of the devices. It's not depend upon the synchronous data receiver, not implicit to the synchronous data receiver. The transmitter generally transmits the clock rate information. Always the transmitter generally transmits the clock rate information. Let's go to the next step. 10 ways of transmitting synchronous signals with clocking information from master device to slave device. Now why this is the master and slave? Because in case of the master device means it has the control. Now the transmitter device, as it has the clock rate, it will act as a master, and the receiver device, the device which will going to receive the data, will be the slave device. So define these things. Synchronization ways: separate clock pulses along with the data bits. One way. This is the two format. Data bits modulated or encoded with clock information. Data bits modulated or encoded with the clock information. This is for frequency modulation. We are going to discuss that. B phase, Manchester, all the in case of digital communication, this kind of synchronization ways has been used. Embedded clock information with a data bit frame before transmitting. Synchronization code bits preceding a data bit frame. Bisynchronization coding in between frames, signaling bits. All these three things use this process. And data bits modulated or encoded with clock information used for frequency modulation. QAM is also a modulation. QAM is also a modulation process. This is for multiple frequency modulation. Separate clock pulses along with the data bits. Separate clock pulses along with the data bits will be used for these for transmission and these for receiver. Let's go to the next slide. Synchronous communication. There are two separate lines for data bits and the clock, and the parallel and serial out. There are two separate lines for data bits and the clock, and the parallel in serial out. This is for PISO, and serial in parallel out is SIPO, are used for transmitting and receiving respectively. There is a common line, and the clock information is encoded by modulating the clock with stream of bits. There are preceding and succeeding addition of synchronization and signaling bits. These are the things. 5 common methods of encoding clock information into serial stream of the bits. These are these: mid-frequency, Manchester coding, quadrature amplitude modulation, biphasing coding, frequency modulation. Synchronous receiver separates the serial bits of the message and synchronization clock. Asynchronous communication. Clocks of the receiver and transmitter are independent or unsynchronized, but of same frequency, and the variable phase difference between bytes or bits of two data frames, which may not be sent within any prefixed time interval. Example of asynchronous communication: characters between a keyboard and a computer, communication between UART device or modem device. RS-232C is an interfacing signal standard between DCE and DTE. These are the example of asynchronous communication. I have already described all those things. Characteristics of asynchronous communication: bytes or frames need not maintain a constant phase difference and are asynchronous. Not in synchronization, there is a permission to send either bytes or frames at variable time intervals. This facilitates in between handshaking between the serial transmitter port and serial receiver port. Though the clock must ticking at a certain rate, always has to be there to transmit the bits of a single byte serial. It is always implicit to the asynchronous data receiver and is independent of the transmitter. So we will, okay, yes, this is the last one I was thinking about. So we'll end today's lecture at this slide. From the next lecture we will going to continue with different kind of input devices and communication. Thank you.